Lads, lassies, welcome back to the YouTube. More specifically, welcome to a tutorial. So a lot of us, when we start out wakeboarding, the first goal is to get up, to cross the wakes. But then as we progress a little bit, usually our first big goal is to do a hillside wake to wake. So in this video, I'm going to be giving you tips on how to do it without getting any bad face plants and any injuries, and also talk you through some of the kind of hacks that I found have helped quite a lot over the years when I've been coaching people, and also that people find on YouTube. So let's get into the video, but before we do, please make sure to subscribe, like the video, and comment below what tricks you're working on at the moment. So first up, what basics do you need to do the wake to wake? Well, to begin with, you need to be a very comfortable rider, being able to cross the wake both sides, ideally be able to do a one wake jump, and maybe ride switch, because whilst it doesn't actually contribute to this trick, having the level and the standard of being able to ride switch is very important, and particularly as you progress, it's vital. So do definitely spend a little bit of time every time you're wakeboarding riding switch. Now, the actual wake to wake itself, let's talk about it. So believe it or not, a lot of people think the trick starts when you're away from the wake. However, believe it or not, it begins at the wake, because the way you edge away from the wake contributes to the way you edge back. So you're going to start right next to the wake and you're going to cut out on your toes. Now it's important to cut out nice and gently. A lot of people are cutting as fast as they can, and that is actually going to mess up your line tension. So cut out nice and easily, and then when you get out there, you wait until the boat begins to pull you back. Then as it does, that's when the second part of the trick starts. So as you're coming back in, what you want to do is you want to come in on the heels, and you want to essentially accelerate all the way to the wake and through the wake. This is called the progressive edge, and everyone talks about it, and a lot of people might not know exactly what it is. So the progressive edge is kind of what it says on the tin. It's about progressing. So let's say 1 is a really mellow edge and 5 is the massivest Rayleigh edge you've ever seen. You want to essentially go from 1 to 5. So as we start, the boat pulls you in the first bit. Then you want to get on your edge and you want to be leaning on your heels. Ideally, you want to be looking up in front of you. You want to have your arms kind of nice and low down by your waist, because your waist is your center of gravity. And you want to go 1, 2, 3, 4. So if you get that concept, I'm building the edge. If you happen to go 1, 3, 2, 4, it'll completely mess everything up. So make sure you're going 1, 2, 3, 4, and basically you want to hit 5 at the wake, and you actually want to be riding through and edging through the wake. Then the kind of third part of this is the actual takeoff. So as you get to the takeoff, you want to essentially stand tall and push down on the handle, and the timing of this is probably one of the most difficult parts of wakeboarding. A lot of people get it wrong. A lot of pros get it wrong on some bigger tricks. But essentially you want to stand tall at the top of the wake, push down on the handle, then you should be in the air. And once you're in the air, it's all about being comfortable. So some people like to keep 2 hands on, some people like to take their backhand off. The one tip I'd say is don't take your front hand off, because that will skew you kind of strangely. When you're in the air, keep 2 hands on, and then you'll see as I'm coming into landing, I look up and I take my backhand off and I bend my knees and I really absorb the landing. The landing is kind of the fourth part of this whole trick. Once you bend those knees, you've got your head up, you should ride away nice and smoothly. Now, one of the most common mistakes here is actually looking down. And I always say, if you look down, you go down. So basically you're looking at the wake where you're landing, and it's okay to glance at it, but it is literally a glance. You're not staring at the landing. You want to just go, oh, it's there, and then keep that head up. So that is the way to wake, but that's all going well. And I know that a lot of people have a lot of problems. Also, you've got to bring fear into it because it's scary as hell. So I'm going to give you a few hacks to help. And actually the most important one of those is to do with your rope length. And now this is a question that I often get asked, and I can't answer it in this video up here. However, it always fluctuates, and it depends what boat you're on, it depends what speed you're on. But let's say your normal rope length, for argument's sake, is 65 feet. So my first tip when you go to do this is actually to let the rope out by 5 or even 10 feet. So you're going to 70 or 75 feet. The reason you do this is to practice your edge without landing on the opposite side of the wake. So you're going to be landing in the middle of the wake, because when you go further back, the wake gets wider. So that's my first tip, to practice the edge into the wake, and that way you're not worrying about crashing on the other side, and also there's a little bit less resistance. It's just easier back there. My second tip after you've done this is to actually shorten the rope right in. So if your normal rope length is 65 feet, we're going to go all the way to 55 feet. Now the reason for this is that the wake gets narrower. So the wake to wake, you don't have to travel as far, and that is obviously fundamental in making it a little bit easier. Then at this point, once you've been comfortable, you know you've got the takeoff, you've got the edge in, you do shorten that rope, and then it should be a little bit easier to get wake to wake. Now all going well, you land it there at the shorter rope. Then my advice would be to let your rope out by 2.5 feet or maybe 5 feet. So I'd say if you did it at 55, if you can, make your rope about 57.5, 58 feet, and then try and get it there. And then you want to slowly work your way back to your normal riding length. That is such a tip, and to be honest, if I had known that when I was learning it, it probably would have saved me a lot of crashes. So I definitely advise that. It can be fundamental. And the other part that's nice about it is you can probably slow the boat down a little bit too, which also means when you crash, it doesn't hurt as much. Those are my biggest tips for definitely getting the way to wake, and hopefully they help you. The hacks, I think, should, and hopefully you'll go out and you'll try this and you'll land it, and then you'll be like, yeah, I landed it. Anyway, hopefully this has been informative and helped you out and kind of encourage you to do it. Don't be scared. Like, a million people have had to face this, and I don't know how many people have landed it, but I'm guessing the vast majority of people who really spend time at it do land it. And spending time is a key part, because a lot of people will say, I tried it 2 or 3 times, or I tried it for a week and I never got it and I'm giving up. This type of stuff, obviously skill and talent comes in, but it will take up to a whole summer or maybe a year or two. It really does take a little bit of effort. So anyway, that's all for me. If you've enjoyed the video, let us know in the comments, subscribe, and yeah, let me know what tutorials you'd like to see in the near future.